Okay, I think we'll get started here. Just killed my video window so that everybody can see the full slides that we've got. So let's kick things off here. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We're really excited you could hop on this webinar live with us. Topic today, we're going to be talking about digital signage and safety. So if you're looking for ways to make your school safer, you've definitely come to the right place. Our demo should be pretty quick and painless today. We'll cover it in about 45 to 50 minutes, and our whole goal is to show you how you can make your displays more engaging, and if something does happen, how you can use your screens as an additional method to keep everybody updated. My name is Ryan Cahoy. I'll be moderating today's webinar, and joining me as presenters, we've got Greg Arts, the CEO of Punch Alert, and Megan Lambros with the education team here at Rise Vision. Also joining us is Ashley with the marketing team at Punch Alert. She's going to help moderate all the questions that you guys are submitting. Between the four of us, we've worked with thousands of schools around the world, and we're here to share our experiences to help guide you in the right direction. We really want this to be a lively and active conversation. So please throw any questions you have into that Q&A box. Ashley and I'll answer them as we go. And we've also reserved a big chunk of time at the end where we'll get into more detailed questions and make sure that we cover all the topics you want to touch on. Agenda is pretty straightforward. I'm going to start by setting the stage with some of the basics, and then Greg's going to jump into a demo of the mobile app for Punch Alert and show you how you can trigger emergencies. Then Megan's going to show some of the latest templates and how you can get everything set up in Rise Vision to take full advantage of your displays. We are recording today's webinar. At the conclusion, we'll send you a copy just in case you miss anything. Also, we'd encourage you to share it with any of your colleagues maybe that couldn't attend as well. Again, we got plenty of time, so don't be shy. Ask us anything. We do really want to shape today's conversation around what's most important to you. So let's start by talking about your situation. You're probably taking measures to make your school a safe place, things like practicing for fire drills, hanging posters promoting anti-bullying, cybersecurity. And I'm also guessing that you're in search of easier, more effective ways to communicate with students and parents. Emergency alert systems and digital signage may seem overwhelming and complicated. We get it, but today what we're going to try to do is break it down into the simplest terms to make it easier for you. We get that you're busy and probably have more questions than answers at this stage, but don't worry, you're not alone. Your colleagues at other schools have had similar concerns about who's going to create content and how you generate new content and just how much effort it's going to take. Just like you, we believe digital signage shouldn't be so hard. So after this webinar, if you want to take that first step to go ahead, get signed up for Rise Vision and see how easy digital signage can be. If you're already a user, just go to risevision.com. So you'll see on the screen there, upper right-hand corner, just click that log into your account. If you don't have an account yet, see that blue button right next to it for sign up? Just click that, and in a few seconds, you can create an account. Once you're logged in, you can pick a few templates, personalize them for your school, then plug in your displays and start sharing that content. And each week, we're going to send you new recommendations so you can keep that content fresh and engaging. And what's really cool and what you're going to see today is if you are using an emergency notification system like Punch Alert, you can hit that big button on the mobile app and immediately start posting your warnings to your screens. Now, as you create an account, we're confident that you're going to see the same thing that over 3,000 schools across North America have found. Digital signage can be easy and effective. And if you want to read more, there's a lot of stuff out on our website, case studies, testimonials, reviews. So definitely check out our website if you want to see more. So with that, enough of my shameless sales pitch. Let's get into the cool stuff here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to share my video again here. Sorry there. So you can see behind me here, I've got a screen, and Greg's going to share his mobile app, and he's going to actually trigger alerts live, so you can see them happening on my screen. Now, I'm not familiar with everybody's apps and web browser versions that you're on, but I can say if you're on a Mac and in Chrome OS, what you should see if you're in full screen is a little window of video pinned up to the top. If you want to toggle between the two, if you just double click on that, you can move, if you want to see what's on the screen a little bit larger, into your main window. If you are in full screen and you're not seeing it, maybe you want to exit out into a smaller size or change your view. And hopefully you'll see a little film strip across the top, again, where you can toggle between those. But if you do have any trouble with that, we've had some people in the past say that in whatever app they're in, they can't see both windows at the same time. Don't worry, once we're done with the demo, we'll trigger another alert and we'll just have the video screen going so that you can see that as well. So hopefully that makes sense. If you've got any questions, again, throw them into that Q&A, throw them into the chat, and we'll be sure to answer them as we go here. So with that, I'm going to turn the keys over to Greg, let him show you the Punch Alert app and how easy it is to keep your school safer with their app.
All right. Thank you, Ryan, for that. Really appreciate it. I'm going to take a moment to put my phone up on the screen here. Usually doesn't take too long. Let's see. All right. Hopefully everybody can see that and also see Ryan's screen at the same time. We're going to go ahead and get started. No PowerPoint slides for me today. I'm just going to do an interactive demo here, and I'll walk through our 3 modules within Punch Alert and give you a little bit of backstory, about 10 minutes, and then pass it over to Megan, who's going to show you how you connect the dots between Rise and Punch Alert. Pretty straightforward. So we're excited to partner with Rise. You know, Punch Alert, our goal is to improve the way you communicate during an emergency to ultimately reduce response time. That's the end goal. And so mass notifications are part of that. And digital signage, of course, is a key part of mass notifications. But but there's also a lot of two-way communications that need to happen, from the reporting of the emergency to the setting up of your internal responder teams to manage those incidents, to see who's located where, and so on. So we think of it as a life cycle, and that's been our focus from the very beginning. So today I'm going to focus on the mobile app, and the mobile app from the perspective of a responder. And you'll see how it connects to Rise, which is pretty powerful. So let's start by just reporting an emergency. You'll notice when I open the app, it's in this kind of big red button mode. I could actually minimize that and look around the map, and if we have time, maybe I'll do that. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to hit the red button. So it's vibrating in my hand here. It's got a 30-second countdown. And because I'm in a geofence, that's how you basically define your protected areas, it's defaulting to my company, Punch Technologies. So that's checked. I'm not going to call 911. I could do that at the same time. Address looks good. Let's go ahead and report. I'm skipping the rest of the countdown. That's it. It's been reported, and you'll notice it immediately popped up on Ryan's screen. It also notified anyone you would designate as a responder through 5 different channels. I'm going to go ahead and further set the category. This is all customizable by you, and you may notice that the screen, Ryan's screen, further updated with the category of fire. Notice on my screen that I have access to my emergency plan for fire. And again, when I say my, these are all things that you would upload. They're part of your plans, your categories. And this is where I'm going to start communicating at the bottom. I'm going to start chatting with other responders and say, smoke in lobby, you know, oops, sorry, just got an alert. Let's go back in. You know, someone else might say on my way. And someone might submit a photo. Let's take a little photo here. I'm going to take a little photo of this beacon above my door. You'll see why I did that in a moment. Notice Ashley also said she's on her way. That's good. Anyone that was doubting the warm weather here in Charlotte can see out my window. So people are submitting photos. Now maybe they could submit audio as well. So that's kind of the second button here. So you can do photos, video, you can do audio. This is submit up to 30 seconds of audio. You could make a phone call. Here's where I would actually go ahead and call 911 if I want to, because when I look at this stream, I'm seeing that nobody's called 911. That actually would have showed up in this stream, that someone starts the call and someone ends the call. And that's pretty important as part of an emergency to know if someone's called. Likewise, if I want to get on a conference line or I just want to call someone specifically on my team, I can do that from here. The fourth button is an attendance module. This is pretty relevant, obviously, for K-12 especially, and we have a really simple way of taking attendance. It does not require an integration with your student management system. We know some of you like that approach. We've taken a fairly simple approach that does populate an attendance module, but doesn't require that you integrate with something that may or may not be 100% accurate at that moment. So this works, it's really simple, and it just works well for taking attendance during an emergency. So there's another feature you might have noticed at the top called status. And if I press on it, you'll see this is a really easy way to just set your status. So if you are having some kind of mass event or maybe a big weather emergency or something like that, it might make sense to just inform everybody, hey, go ahead and set your status. And I'll show you how you can immediately have awareness to everyone's status up here in the Manage section. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click on the map. Just want to give you a sense of what location's like, because during an emergency, we think communication and location awareness are the 2 most important things to an effective response. So if I zoom in a little bit, you'll notice you can see me on the map here. I can switch to satellite mode. And that's when you may want to press on the entry to view profile. Now you can see I'm in the bigger punch office. That's just the name of the geofence I'm in. I'll show you that again in a moment. As well as you can see Greg's office. That's a beacon you saw on my door. Disregard the demo beacons I've got near me. Greg's office is that beacon above my door, and that tells you exactly where I am. Now those are optional. Obviously you still have this location, which is GPS based. And again, it is going to track anyone inside that geofence. If you can see that geofence faint, that's how we do that. So it does mass location tracking for anyone that's checked in on your property during an emergency. So lastly, let's go to the manage section. Now we're not going to go into too much depth, but quickly you can see who reported it. You can see that 2 of 24 people have checked in. Of those 2 people, they're both okay. I can see Ashley's okay as well. That's good. I can always filter this check-in list by status or by role, which is kind of nice. And I can mass notify if I need to. Let's say now I need to mass notify employees. And by the way, there are many different functions you can connect to RISE. So actually, when I go ahead and send a mass update and I say evacuate the building ASAP, and then I go ahead and hit send, and now I want to send it out to this beyond my first group. I want to expand it to the second group. I want to send out that update. Notice that just populated Ryan's screen as well. Now, how long it's going to show up on the screen, those are all variables, and you'll actually see that on Megan's screen in a moment. But when you send out mass updates, you'll notice also certain things like text messages, emails. If you have folks that just don't want to download an app, that's okay. I'm focusing the demo on the mobile app, but you're able to reach people through all these different types of channels, including, of course, digital signage. Lockdown integration's a nice way to connect systems as well. Notice it makes some noise. It did populate Ryan's screen. If you have a lockdown plan, that's great. Distribute it. Finally, again, we saw the check-ins, who's checked in and what's their status. Really basic stuff. So your responder team has all these advanced features, but when you roll it out to your broader audience of employees, staff, and faculty, really all you're asking them to do is check in, set your status, maybe fill out an attendance, read the emergency plan if you need to, and watch for updates. So it's pretty simple, and they can learn it very quickly. Last emergency feature, I'm going to go ahead and set the category, reset the category to active shooter. Now, a few things just happened there. Now, 2 emergency plans immediately got distributed because we have 2 for that. Here's the active shooter plan. But you'll notice also it says, remember to run, hide, barricade, or fight. That's a default emergency update that automatically goes out whenever the category is set to active shooter. And so that's something you can think about, so you don't have to manually send those types of updates out. If you know what you're going to say in that type of incident, you can just preset it. Again, all designed to save you time during an emergency. All right, so if I went back to my home screen for a moment, you'll see we've got this red banner on the map. I got this red pin. I'm going to go ahead and resolve this incident. So once it's clear, I can resolve it. I can even add a note. All right, and it is now cleared from my phone. You'll hear the all clear noise in the background. You'll see Ryan's screen says it's resolved. And if I go to my activity feed, you'll see that it is cleared. So there are other types of alerts. In fact, I think we saw one come in while I was demoing. And they're typically announcements, tips, or emergencies. Now we do have a couple new ones, weather, amber, and other types of alerts. So as those come in your area, you'll see them populate. But lastly, what I wanted to show you is just a couple daily utility features. So I think it's important as an emergency tool that it's not something you just only use for a fire drill. It's something that you really want to try and use as often as possible. Get people comfortable with it. So tips is a nice way to create interactive reporting of incidents that safety related, but maybe not emergencies. You can even use it for things that aren't safety related, like a lost and found or facilities issue, wallet on floor, that kind of thing. You could take a photo of it. You could allow anonymous reporting. We have seen a lot of tip categories at the education level used for behavior, whether it's student behavior or bullying. The anonymous option is very good for that. And lastly, the announcement module is something you could send out on mass notification just on a daily basis for standard things like, bus routes, buses are running late today, or whatever you'd consider kind of a more mass notification that's not an emergency. You can use templates or drafts. You can attach audio, some advanced features. You hit next, you can save it as draft. You can send it out to roles or any number of lists you have integrated. You can create some other channels, email, text message, whatever you really need. You can even post that to Rise as well if you like, and it'll go out through all these different channels. So that's really a quick summary of everything inside of Punch Alert, the 3 main modules: announcements, tips, and emergencies. And hopefully you've seen how simple it is, you know, again, one last time, to report an emergency and have that quickly notify everyone, including your digital signage. So I will now take my phone off the screen, and hopefully you can see that bright and clear on Ryan's screen. And I will go ahead and mute myself so Megan can take over from here.
Cool. Thanks, Greg. I'm going to share my screen now with everybody. So hopefully everyone can see my Rise Vision account logged in on their screens right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the most important part of digital signage, which is the content. Now, it's estimated that users with other digital signage tools can spend up to 16 hours per week creating and managing content. I'm sure we can all agree that's just way too long, so we've created an easier way. So each week when you log in, we'll recommend 3 new and relevant templates. So you can see right on my screen here. So I know a lot of schools right now, there's Teacher of the Year being recognized. We have National Teacher Appreciation Day coming up, as well as Mother's Day. So that's what you're seeing at the top of my screen currently as some relevant suggestions. If I wanted to add one of these templates, all I need to do is select it. And then you'll notice as this just loaded that this template is broken out into different sections. We'd call them placeholders. So within any of these placeholders lies a property. So I just clicked on where it's designated for me to be able to add my logo. So if you look on the left-hand side, it's showing me that this is an image. So if I wanted to change that image file, I would just choose here. I have our Rise Vision logo saved in storage here. So at this point, you can just imagine that you'd add your school's logo. You can resize as you see fit. You also have the option, just to point out here, especially just getting acclimated to any new tool, you can save and preview your presentation before you go pushing it live to any of your displays. It's really cool because it's useful. The URL, you can share this with a colleague. So, you know, if you're collaborating with anyone else and you want to just shoot them the URL to ask them if they have any suggestions or if they think it's good to go before you push it live, then you have that ability with that feature. All right, so let's just add maybe 2 more. So let's add one obviously on the topic of safety. So I just clicked to add a presentation. I'm gonna see if we have anything relevant to bullying. We do, so I'll select this one. And great, so this one looks good to go. So let's just save this. And like I said, we'll just add 1 more here. All right, you'll notice too, just one thing to point out. So I'm going in here to add a presentation. This is our template library. So one thing that's very unique to Rise and how we cater to education users is there's a massive template library. So yes, I mentioned every week you'll have those 3 new and relevant current templates that will suggest for you. But you also have things that are more static or just ongoing. So things like weather and news you can use in here for templates. There's also templates related to, you know, school sports matchups, or you've got lunch menus, which is a really popular one. So a lot of diversity in the templates available. I know one of the big initiatives across a lot of states right now is financial literacy. So let's search to see if we have something for that. Just put a little variety in our presentations here. So you can see there's a handful. So let's just select this one here. All right, and then we'll save. Okay, so now that I have my content, let's schedule when and where I want it to play. Now, if you already have a display set up, that's great. If not, then you can simply add one. So I'm going to toggle over to our displays and we'll click here to add. So let's name this one, just for simplicity, main entrance. Okay, now what you're seeing on the screen is there's 3 parts to this. So there's Rise Vision, which is what you're seeing today. So it's the software, it's your content, creation and management. Then you've got your TV, also known as your display. And then what ties those two things together is called a media player. So it's about the size of the palm of your hand, and it's the computer, it's the brain that's going to tell the TV what to play and when. So if you're a DIY person, this configure my own media player button, if you were to click that, if you wanted to source your own media player and configure it, then this would provide you with the instructions and operating systems that we support. On the other hand, if you're busy like most schools that use Rise Vision, then you can just simply order a pre-configured media player from CDW. Now, the perk of the media player being available on CDW is that being a school, you most likely already have an account with them. So you can skip the whole process of setting them up as a vendor. So it should be pretty seamless. And on top of that, the price is very reasonable through them. So if you're trying to jot down this URL really quickly, don't worry about it. We're actually going to include it in our recap email to you after the webinar. On the other hand, you can also get it the same way I just did through your Rise Vision account. Now, it comes ready to go out of the box. All you need to do is just plug it into your TV with an HDMI, turn it on, and you enter the unique display ID given to you. So this is the code you see on my screen here. This is the unique display ID. And that's as simple as installation goes. So now that I have a display set up, I can create a schedule. So let's go ahead and toggle the schedules. You'll notice by default, there'll be an all displays 24/7 already created, just in case you forget to create a schedule. So since we're already in here doing this, I'm gonna create something custom. So for simplicity, we'll just name this main entrance. And then what I would do in here is if I had multiple displays and I just want this on the main entrance, I'd select that. All right, now let's add our presentations to create a playlist. So we'll add the bully free zone template. We'll set this to play for 15 seconds. And then after that, maybe we want Teacher Appreciation Day to play. And maybe with Teacher Appreciation Day, so if that's gonna be, upcoming, maybe we want that to end on a specific date. So maybe we want that to end at the end of the month. So we can apply that. So once the month of May is over, the Teacher Appreciation Day template will be taken out of my playlist. And then lastly, we'll add financial literacy and we'll just leave it at 10 seconds. Great. So it's as simple as that. I just saved my schedule here. And all you really need to do is log in once a week, spend maybe 5 minutes picking new templates, and have great looking displays that'll engage your students. Now, let's piggyback off of what Greg had gone over with you. So he touched on how your digital signage can work with Punch Alert to address the concerns that I'm sure you and your parents have for keeping your school safe. Your accounts just need to be synced once to get this all up and running and working smoothly for you. So if we go over here to our settings, so I'm gonna go to my alert settings. You're gonna notice there is so once it loads for me. So there's this unique URL at the top. So what I would do is first I can punch in my Punch Alert, or I can enter my Punch Alert username and password here and have that synced. And then I would take this unique URL from my Rise Vision account, go plug it in here. As you can see, we've already done to sync with your Punch Alert account, and same thing here, username, password for Rise Vision, and you're good to go. So it's that easy. You're notified of an emergency with a touch of a button like you saw with Greg. It's broadcasting to your displays, and it takes just minutes for your school to react to any situation that you guys may face. So I think that about sums it up for me. Back to you, Ryan.
Fantastic. So just before kind of jump into Q&A and stuff, so for some of the people that maybe couldn't see the display at the same time when Greg was triggering that, you should be seeing it here on the video that I've got now that we're not sharing our screen. Greg, if you want to just trigger another alert here real quick, just so people can see what happens. And there's a variety of different emergency notification templates. So you can see the one behind me. that are available in Rise Vision, but you can create your own. So you can customize these with whatever look and feel you want, brand them, set the color scheme the way you want. And then a lot of the content that you're seeing in there is filled in, coming from Punch Alert via what's referred to as Common Alert Protocol, or CAP, is what's feeding that data. Okay, let me just share my screen here again. Okay, so that was great, Greg and Megan. Thanks a lot for all that. I know it was a really high-level overview for everybody. If you want to dig in more, I've got web addresses up here on the screen, and we'll send all this out to you in email as well. But on the Rise Vision site and the Punch Alert site, there's a lot of additional detail. And the reason we moved through it pretty quickly is we wanted to save plenty of time to answer your questions. So look for that Q&A box on the Zoom toolbar there, and throw us in any questions that you've got, and we'll get to them here in just a second. Now, as a thank you for attending today's webinar, the team at Punch Alert's providing 3 free licenses. So we've got the URL in here, but again, we'll send you a recap. So just watch your email tomorrow morning. You'll see an email that'll come in from Megan. We'll have a link to this where you can go claim 3 free licenses of Punch Alert. So use them as you see fit, integrate them, use them in your testing. But it's a great way just to get started using your displays for emergency notifications. Also in that email that we'll send you, again, we recorded today's demo. We'll send you a copy of that recording. We'll send you that link to that CDW media player. We'll send you a link to our weekly playbook to give you those content ideas as well. So again, watch for that tomorrow morning. Ultimately, what we're trying to help you do is prevent situations like this photo that you see here. You've invested in displays. Nobody wants to see them turned off, failed, unused. So hopefully some of the tips, tricks that we went through here today will help you get better use out of your display so you don't have a situation like this. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I'll ask Greg, Megan, Ashley, if you guys want to turn on your video just so everybody can see your bright smiling faces here, and we'll jump into everybody's questions. Okay, Greg, first question I'll fire at you. What is 911 Plus, and how is that different than a normal 911 call?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question. So 911 Plus is something we built in 2017, and it tackles a problem, which is basically when you make a 911 call from your cell phone, from your smartphone, and it's getting better, but what happens is it goes through your carrier, your wireless carrier. So it could be AT&T or Verizon, and it's going to basically go to the nearest call tower, cell tower, for the routing of the call. And ultimately, it's going to pipe through that information through the network. And so the FCC has indicated that location information is often incorrect. First of all, the routing is often incorrect, and then the location information is incorrect. They've mandated that the FCC said we need 80% accuracy by 2021, which is, we're probably not going to reach that, and that's still not too impressive, right? 1 out of 5 calls doesn't have an accurate location. So we felt the need to solve that, and fortunately, we were able to partner with a great company here in North Carolina called Bandwidth, and really the only company to work with in this regard. And we built some pretty critical infrastructure that allows us to route over their network 911 calls. And what's cool about it is a couple things. Number one, the user, your employees, have control over that call. They can see their name, their callback number, and especially their location, the location they're using for the call. If that location is wrong, they could change it. They could actually remotely call 911 on behalf of your school. And that's pretty powerful. So that's location number one. Number two is this immediate awareness of a 911 call. So if someone's calling 911 from their cell phone on your property today, you probably don't know about it. And so if there's something really bad going on, what do you want them to do? Call 911 or notify your on-site security team? We think you should be able to do both at the same time. And that's what 911 Plus affords. So it's a pretty powerful feature. We're one of 2 players in our market that offers that service. And so we're pretty proud of it.
Great. Megan, question for you. Do you support smart TVs?
So smart TV is a pretty vague term as widely used. So answer I'd have to that is if your smart TV, so there's 4 operating systems that that's compatible with, that Rise Vision is compatible with. So you've got Linux, Windows, Chrome, Raspberry Pi. So if your smart TV runs on one of those operating systems, then yes, you would just, that DIY option that I referred to when I went into configuring a media player, you'd be able to do that and load it onto your smart TV if it does run on one of those 4 operating systems. If it doesn't, then you'd need a media player, which I mentioned. So the media player would have to run on one of those 4 operating systems. Same thing.
Great. Next one's the $1 million question. How much does this stuff cost? We'll answer it both ways. Megan, I'll let you go first. How does licensing work?
So it is as expensive as $10 a month per display. There's sarcasm in there. And then it is as cost effective as $7 per month. It's really just tiered based on how many displays that you want to have connected. So at the minimum, having 1 to 2 displays connected, you're looking at $10 a month per display. And then moving higher up on the tiered level, and you're moving closer to that $7 mark per display per month.
Okay. And do you have any education plans?
We do, actually. So there's an exclusive education plan, and typically for just any customer, 11 displays connected is going to run at $968 annual. For any education customers only, you guys get 15 licensed displays for the same price, $968. So you get 4 free displays.
Excellent. Same question to you, Greg. What's it cost?
Sure. So it's really just based on the size of the school and the number of users. So it's based on your staff and faculty count. We do break the users down into two tiers, the admin/responder tier and your employee tier. The admins are $6 per user per month, and the employee tier is $3 per user per month. The good news is if you do decide to use this with students or parents, there's no cost for that, and there's also no usage restrictions at all with the platform. So whether you're sending out announcements every single day, leveraging text messaging, all the different aspects of the platform, it's just a flat fee. Typically we do this as an annual contract, and when you do that and you kind of make an estimate of the number of licenses you'll need, we'll typically do some sort of discount attached to that as well. Great.
One of the questions that came in is, does it come with a display license, which I think came in while Megan was talking about that CDW media player. So for clarity, it does not include the display license. That's separate. That cost from CDW is just the media player itself. And as Megan mentioned, the different plan licenses just depends how many you have as to what your cost for a license would be. Next question here is, do you have the ability to customize emergency content for a specific area? So I'm assuming a specific area of the screen. I guess, Greg, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess we can kind of answer it both ways. It might be posed. As far as a specific area of the screen, I think that'd be more in maybe the template that they set up for within Rise. Obviously what you saw on Ryan's screen could be changed, and you could show it many different ways and many different types of alerts that are coming through. So yeah, you could certainly customize different types of alerts or different parts of the screen. If the question was different areas, like different locations, for example, if you're a school district with multiple schools, yes, obviously each school can have its own separate alerting system and separate alerts going out to each school. That can be further customized. We use the concept of geofences, and yeah, it's pretty customizable. So however you meant that question, yes, the answer is pretty much yes.
And I'll answer kind of the same on the Rise Vision side of things. Like you can create sub companies. So if you want to break up, again, let's say you're a school complex where you've got a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school. You can create those as separate entities. So when you trigger an alert, it only happens at one of those entities at a time. So as Greg said, there's a lot of different ways to do that, just depending on how you want to do it. And we're happy to help you as you're kind of figuring out how to play with that. Next question is, what's CAP, or Common Alert Protocol? You want to take that, Greg?
Sure. Common Alert Protocol, it's just a standard industry protocol for sending out alerts or listening for alerts. So Rise listens for CAP alerts like ours, and we push out CAP alerts. We also listen for CAP alerts too. So it's a standard protocol, and it's almost like an RSS feed. It's just a very simple and secure way to, in a standard way, present alert to connect systems, frankly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's an industry standard, so check it out. You can just Google it. It's there's a government site out there for Common Alert Protocol. But as Greg mentioned, from a Rise Vision perspective, any system that supports it, that's what we listen for, and that's what triggers the alerts. And kind of a related question that came in here is just templates. As I tried to mention, that there's a few different templates in our library, but you can create your own. So there's really infinite possibilities of what you want to do with that. It's just an HTML5 template. So another question for you, Greg, here. If we use a Raspberry Pi for a lockdown pull station, can we configure it to communicate with Punch Alert?
Yeah, I think you could. A Raspberry Pi pull station. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough question. I think you could certainly do that. If you're listening, you're using the Raspberry Pi to listen. Is that the question, that it's trying to listen for Punch Alert emergencies? Yeah.
Or trigger them.
Or trigger them. Yeah, you could do that as long as it has some kind of, it's a Raspberry Pi, so presumably it's network connected, and therefore, via our API, anyone that signs up with Punch Alerts can get access to our full API stack. So you could pretty much connect any network device, whether it's on premise. We have some third-party products we can actually help introduce that are similar to a Raspberry Pi. If you want to connect on-premise systems that are not networked, for example, let's say you have a lockdown system, an access control system that's not network connected. We have this third-party device we're able to resell, and we call it Punch Connect, and it allows us to connect to your physical systems that are on site. A Raspberry Pi is network connected, so that would just be a basic API call to listen for our alerts. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Megan, question for you. Does Rise support 4K presentations?
Yes, we do. So you have the ability within the template, or even creating your own blank template, to change the resolution. So there's a standard resolution in there to select for the right screen size for 4K. So yeah.
Okay. You guys are all taking it easy on us today. There's not a lot of questions, further questions that have come in. So we'll start to wrap things up here. But again, if you've got any last minute questions, go ahead and throw those in, so we make sure we conquer them here before we wrap up. But while we're waiting to see if we have any other questions, I'll kind of throw it back to you guys just as a conclusion, closing thoughts, takeaways, maybe something that we didn't talk about that you want to expand on, or something we did talk about that you want to reiterate a point on. So Ashley, you've been quiet. I'll let you go first. Any closing thoughts you'd like to leave for our audience?
No, I think that the integration between Rise Vision and Punch Alert is so seamless and simple. I love watching the ease of it, because I've dealt with a lot of other technology that is, I want to pull my hair out, and I want to keep my hair. So I'm just very thankful that you guys have made it such a simple process. That's all I want to say.
Great.
And thank you, everybody.
Megan, same question to you. Any closing thoughts or takeaways for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to the average user with other digital signage tools spending about 16 hours a week, I think would deter a lot of people from actually implementing something. So hopefully after seeing this, or even during, you're starting to think about some displays you might have around your school now that are either just running something without much capability, like PowerPoint, or maybe some that are not being used at all, that seeing how simple and quick it is to have great looking content, now, the wheels may start spinning, and hopefully you're thinking of how you can actually start using them without taking so much time away from your important day-to-day activities with your actual job.
Great. Greg, closing thoughts from your end?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think I would just re-emphasize the importance of a system that you use, that you actually enjoy using. I think there are a lot of products on the market that may check some boxes for you that you don't really get the engagement out of. Maybe mass notification systems that you don't really use, or you're not getting the mobile app downloads. I think engagement is really key these days, and you got to make an experience that's simple, as we've mentioned many times, and that's integrated. And so that's really how we've collectively really thought about this partnership, and we want you to leverage this on a very regular basis, and it's something you'll enjoy using. It's seamless. And it can be positive. We're talking about safety and emergencies today, and that can be a scary thing, knowing what's going on, but it doesn't have to be that way. When our customers are running drills, they're actually enjoying the use of that. And I think that's a good thing. That's the way you can change the mindset around safety. It's just part of your culture, and it's going to make everyone more prepared should they deal with real emergencies. So I would leave everyone with that, and thank you all for your time today.
Okay. We did have one other question that comes in, so I'll put you on the spot, Greg and Ashley. How does
Sure.
Punch Alert compare to Alert Us? I don't know the application, so I don't know if you've heard of it.
So this is, I'll take it if that's okay with you, Greg, and then maybe you can expand on it. I actually spoke with one of the business development professionals that works for Alert Us just recently, and we were talking about how Punch Alert could actually integrate with Alert Us, because Alert Us has a lot of hardware that can be put in as far as buttons and whole things and all sorts of other stuff. So it was very interesting, because I'd originally started talking to him because I wanted to understand what their product was and if it and its similarities to Punch Alert. And what we found is that we could potentially partner because they offer some hardware that we, panic buttons, things like that we don't necessarily offer. So that was my takeaway from my conversation with them.
So it sounds like it's very complimentary, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Anything you would add, Greg, or we good?
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. I mean, from what I know about Alert Us, having seen them at a few conferences and things like that, it seems like their strength may be more in that hardware component. And ours is really in that interactive management of emergencies.
Okay, great. So with that, I'll leave you with my closing thought. My closing thought is, if you have a display in your school and it's not connected to some kind of emergency notification system like Punch Alert, you're doing it wrong. Like, you need to. I mean, if in the state of the world we live in today and all the craziness that's out there, you need to get the message out every which way you can. So if you've already got the asset of the display on the wall, you should be figuring out how to tie this in so that if something happens, you can effectively notify anybody. So with that, we all want to thank everyone for their time and attending and participating in this. And we'll get the recap out to everyone. And if anybody has any further questions after watching this, please don't hesitate to contact either the team at Punch Alert or us at Rise Vision. Thanks again for everybody's time.
Thanks, everyone.